Okay, so for anyone new, Heather, and anybody else who's jumping in new today, the way this goes is we do about 10 minutes of breath work, and then I move back to my couch, which is back there, and then we continue for 30 minutes of movement. Lara, if you could see Lara, you could see her, she's got that crazy, beautiful top on there, she's waving. Lara does the more vigorous variation, so Lara does the standing poses, so for people who don't want to be seated. And today I will get off my couch as well and do a couple of variations off the couch, just because it's pretty hard to get your psoas going without doing a little bit of standing up, but we'll do the best we can. All right, transition, use your breath, exhale deeply. We're practicing that skill of going from busy, and I know what it's like. I take online classes too. I know what it's like. We're running around, we're trying to get a bunch of stuff done before 1 o'clock. It's kind of like it provides some structure to our day to have to be somewhere. So you probably got some sympathetic energy going on. You were probably being pretty productive before this. Maybe not. Maybe you were lying on a couch. I hope so. But you probably do have some sympathetic energy going on. You probably were getting a bit accomplished. So we're practicing reducing that, going into parasympathetic tone. And right now, what that looks like, for me anyway, is the use of a long exhale through my nose and a softening of everything, almost like a wave of warm water going over my body as I soften. I also close my eyes to reduce the sensory input from around, so you have darkness. And then I take my attention somewhere inside, wherever that works for you. Just sink it in. At first, if you want to take your attention into your lungs or into your belly, that works. And then just begin to notice the gentle rise and fall of your shoulders. We did a lot of work yesterday on the ribs and the intercostals, the breath muscles. We'll stay away from those today. Maybe people are a bit sore. I know I'm a little sore. So that's why we're going to focus on legs today. We'll still do some upper body stuff, but just not as much. Let's begin our breath practice now. And let's try equal inhale and exhale. So as you inhale, always through your nose, your lips are gently touching. Always through your nose, inhale deeply, but softly. LSD, long, slow, and deep. Make it as long as you can. And then exhale through your nose again, softly, gently. And now count this time. Count in your head, what is the length of your inhale? And when you get to the top of your inhale, begin to exhale and start to count inside. What is the length of your exhale? Take a few rounds of that counting. Just see if your numbers are repeatable. Same number. And now let's try repeating mentally. Inhale, 2, 3, and just begin counting. And as you exhale, begin with exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for now, we're just practicing observing the shape of your breath. We're not really altering it too much. And now we're going to begin to make it conform to our will. This is where we begin to get the benefits. So Try to make your inhale and your exhale, choose the larger number, whether your inhale or your exhale was larger, and make them equal. And once you have that mastered, the other thing we've been doing is trying to grow our awareness of our heart rate. See if you can feel your heart rate begin to speed up on the inhale, just slightly. You may not even notice it's speeding up. You just may notice a greater sense of your heart rate. And then on the exhale, as your heart rate begins to slow down, you may notice less of its presence. It might be quieter. Regardless, as you do this equal breath, begin to cultivate a gratitude for your heart rate, your physical heart. Even if it's not really doing what you want right now, even if it's beating a little too fast or it's keeping you up at night. I think a lot of people are very aware of their heart rate right now, myself included. My heart rate is about 4 beats faster per minute now since isolation started. And just cultivate a gratitude for that nevertheless. And by gratitude, I just mean that moment. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to be grateful for it all the time. Just on the inhale and the exhale. Moment of acknowledgement. I sort of say hello to it on the inhale. And let's do some suspension now. So inhale, same number of counts. Mine is about 8 counts today. And then hold, just suspend at the top for as many breaths as you like. I mean, as many counts as you like. You can make it equal if you like. I'm going to do my 8 for mine and then exhale for 8. And then hold, suspend at the bottom with empty lungs. And then inhale. And remember, these are quiet, gentle breaths in and out through the nose. With a real acknowledgement of the fact that the nose is our filter, it's our air filter. Acknowledgement of the service that it's performing, our nostrils, what they are performing. And take 3 more rounds, however that looks for you. And on your last exhale, please soften as much as you can. You might see different parts of my body. If you poke your eyes open a little bit, you might see different parts of my body releasing on my last exhale. Shoulders, chin, even my eyebrows might relax. And then when you are finished that work, wiggle your eyebrows a little bit, brighten up your eyes, flutter your eyes open. And just smile your face and just come back into a little bit of that bright energy, but keep the softness in your belly. Let's even place a hand on our belly as we start Sufi grind. Just tiny Sufi grinds, and just notice if you can keep your belly soft. You're going to have to use your belly when you go back. But notice if you can stay soft and strong here as you go back. Very smooth, round and round, and then reverse direction. We did a lot of Sufi grind yesterday in different ways, so we're not going to do a lot today. But I do want to just get, it is a good way to find the hips, the pelvis. And now move your hands, take them into two fists. They can be half fists, and just bring them into your bikini line. So the space between your femur and your pelvis. And just take a few more Sufi grinds here and notice what you feel under your fingers right now, what you feel under your knuckles. Those are your psoas muscles, probably. And just keep switching directions here, gentle Sufi grind, and just push in. And you can switch so that your hands are more like on your hips, but your fingers are pushing into your psoas. So your psoas are in a place on the body that in my tradition of yoga, we call the nests, because they look a little bit like nests. They're kind of hollow. It's a kind of hollow place. So just keep going around, switching direction and noticing. Notice how you work there. Notice how your anatomy works there. There's a very strong band of ligament that is basically along your bikini line. And then your psoas muscles go from up higher. They attach on at the base of your spine, and they go through your pelvis and then down and attach on to your greater trochanter. No, your inner trochanter, the inside of your femur. So where your fingers are is about halfway down, maybe a little further than halfway down your psoas muscles. And the usual way that we work psoas muscles is in lunges, which is pretty hard in chair yoga. We will do a few today, but just wanted you to identify them before we get going. So come back to neutral, bring your hands to your knees, and take a few cat-cows. And if you would like to, you can come to hands and knees at this point and take cat-cow on hands and knees. And this is called a vinyasa, or a movement, a specific movement on the breath. And the breath goes inhale forward and exhale back. And maybe you can make your breath and your movement equal. Maybe you can even count again. When you come forward, stretch the base of your throat. And by that, I don't mean fold your neck back. I just mean stretch the base of your throat. And when you come back, tuck your chin into the little divot at the base of your throat. This brings the neck into the game. And it also gives us a little thyroid thymus squeeze there at the end. Getting stuff going, revving up the metabolism. We're getting a little sympathetic here. So parasympathetic tone, you can speed up a little. Parasympathetic tone is rest and digest. Sympathetic tone is activity. That's the tone that you're in when you get things done. And each one of those nervous system tones has hormones that are associated with it. But we are going to work today a little bit in the sympathetic, and then we're going to move towards parasympathetic at the end. And our breathing is always parasympathetically oriented. So last few, just warming up our spine like a bow, as if it's like a bow from a bow and arrow, or maybe the string from a bow and arrow. Last breath. Hold in cat pose. Grab the front of your knees or your legs and pull your belly button back towards your spine. Tuck your chin into your chest. And now bring your awareness into your psoas muscles. You can probably feel them here. You're using your psoas muscles to tilt your pelvis backwards. So see if you can identify them here. We will do a little bit of strengthening. In general, lots of people don't really need psoas strengthening. You get psoas strengthening when you're walking and running and biking and all the things that we do. Usually what we need is psoas stretching, but we will do a little bit of strengthening today. And right now, this is strengthening and stretching. Breathe in cat pose. And then come back to center. And we're going to do something different, although it looks the same. I'd like you to tilt your pelvis forward and back. So it's not cat-cow. We're not going into a big C curve and a big open chest. We're just tilting the pelvis back and forth. We use our abs to tilt it this way, and we use our back muscles to tilt it the other way. Take a few. And then side to side. And do this with your hips. Pushing, again, you're using your psoas here. If you put your hands in your bikini line, you'll feel your psoas pulling you from side to side. So my ribs are going side to side. It's kind of cool how you can mobilize your psoas without standing up. Last breath, and really push, and then come back to center. Take a breath. I'm going to walk back to the couch now. And we'll start our sun salutes. And the sun salutes are a lot of lunges. If you're standing up, you can come to standing now for your sun salutes. Sun salutes are a lot of lunges, even the seated ones. If you're seated, please come to a couch. It's pretty hard to do seated sun salutes on the floor, but you can if you really want to. But it's more effective either on a chair or a couch or standing. So here we go. We'll go nice and slow. Inhale overhead. My knees are bent for this first series. Exhale, fold. Nice and slow, beginning to move our bodies. Inhale, half lift. Bring your chest up a little, spine parallel to the floor. Exhale, fold. So you can see already that we are moving our psoas here quite a bit. Inhale, bring your right knee to your chest or step your right leg back. And now we are in a lunge. Exhale. Fold your forehead towards your knee. This is a seated lunge. Inhale, straight spine. Exhale, neutral. So push back, downward facing dog if you're standing. Inhale, ripple forward to upward facing dog. Watch Lara if you want to see this. Exhale, downward facing dog. And now left knee comes into your chest, or right knee steps forward. And then exhale, pull your forehead into your knee. Big inhale, pull your spine as close to your shin bone as you can. You'll feel your psoas here. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. All of this hip hinging is super good for the psoas. We do this every single day. Inhale up. And we're getting very good at it. Exhale, neutral. Notice that I have my knees bent for this first one. I'll show you the knees straight after. It's a little more vigorous. Inhale, overhead, other side. Exhale, beautiful swan dive forward. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, fold. Left knee is going back or in this time. Inhale, squeeze your spine straight up as much as you can. Lift the crown of your head towards the ceiling, and then exhale, curl down, forehead towards knee. Inhale again, really pull on your shin bone. And then exhale, release, downward facing dog, neutral. Ripple forward, cat pose or upward facing dog. Sorry, cow pose. I always screw that up. Exhale, cat pose. And now left leg jumps forward or right knee comes in, squeeze your shin much as you can, squeeze your spine as close to your shin as you can, and then exhale, forehead towards your knee. And then inhale, squeeze again. This is all psoas work. And then exhale, step forward, forward fold. If there are things that don't make sense, if you're on the couch and there are things that I'm saying that don't make sense, it's because I'm also talking to the people who are standing. Exhale, forward fold. Only do what makes sense if you're on the couch. Inhale up. Exhale, neutral. You don't have to bring your hands to heart like this if you don't want to. You can bring your hands to your shins. I'm extending my legs for the next round. It's a little more vigorous. You get a deeper stretch. Inhale your arms overhead. Exhale, full dive, and you'll feel this in your psoas. Feels a little different if you straighten your legs. Inhale, long spine. Now this is not your psoas. This is your belly and your back muscles. And exhale, fold. Inhale, right leg back or in. And this is a big squeeze here. And then on the exhale, you curl. If you're standing, you drop into your lunge. And then this is another big squeeze. Squeeze your leg in. That's psoas work. Exhale, neutral legs or downward facing dog. Grab your legs. Push your chest forward. Ripple forward. Upward facing dog. And then exhale, cat pose, downward facing dog. Right foot goes back or left knee comes in. Squeeze long spine. Top of your head goes towards the ceiling. And then exhale, forehead towards your knee. And then squeeze again. You can really get a lot out of this on the couch. And then exhale, forward fold. I'm very sore from doing these all the time. Every day. Inhale, half lift. It's a good kind of sore, but I'm definitely getting sore, and I do a lot of yoga. So that's proof to me that this is effective stuff. Inhale up. And exhale, neutral. We're going to do the other side where the left leg moves first. Inhale, overhead. Lift your chest to the ceiling now. Energize your belly and exhale, beautiful swan dive. Inhale, hip hinge. Half lift, we call this. Exhale, fold. Big, long, beautiful breaths. Inhale, left knee in or back. Ripple your spine long and then exhale, curve it. And then grab your shin again and inhale, long spine. Exhale, neutral, downward facing dog. Keep your breath long. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Pull your right knee in, step your left knee back. Spine is long, and then exhale, curl. Inhale, long. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Put your hands on your legs. Use your back muscles like Superman. Inhale your chest up, and then exhale, forward fold. And then inhale up. Neutral pose. Put your hands on your legs, bend your knees if you're standing or if you're seated. So we're going to practice some lunges. Lunges are the pretty much best acknowledged way of using your psoas. So if you're on the floor, it's just straight up lunges. If you're on the seat, it's what we just did, but we're going to do them slower. So if you're on your chair, make sure you're firmly on your chair. Extend your left leg and pull your right knee into your chest, just like we did in that sun salute. But we're going to hold here. If you're standing, you can step your right foot back and take a lunge pose. You can take any kind of lunge, really. Take a crescent lunge if you like. Lift your hands overhead. But if you're here on the couch, we're going to go as deeply into this lunge as we can. So flex your feet and then lean back a tiny bit, just a tiny bit until your abs engage. I can feel my abs engage right there. You can probably hear the difference in my voice when my abs engage. So my abs aren't engaged, and now they are. So that little quaver in my voice as my abs, because they're big muscles, and they kind of grab on there and get tight. So I'm leaning back a little bit, but I'm still pulling my right knee into my chest. Take a big deep breath. And then we're going to switch. So if you're standing, just step forward and then step back with the other leg. And if you're on the couch, cuddle your left knee in, interlace your fingers in front of your shin, and really pull, flex your feet, and then lean back just a tiny bit, just until your abs engage. Your foot might come off the floor. I don't know if you can see, but my right heel is kind of bouncing off the floor a little bit. Take a few breaths here. And then we're all going to forward fold. So extend your legs long. If you're on the floor, step forward. My legs are separated a little bit just because I want a little different sensation in my hips. Exhale, full. Take a few breaths. We're going to do that one more time. Come up to neutral. Extend your left leg. Pull your right knee in. If you're standing, step back into a lunge. Go deep. You can put something under your knee if you like, of that leg that's extended behind you. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Come back a little bit until your abs engage. Just a tiny touch. Take a breath here. Doesn't have to be much. Just until you feel your belly go. And now we're going to switch here. If you need to come back up so your belly isn't engaged to switch, do that. But otherwise, we're going to stay back so the belly's engaged. See how my heel is on the ground? I'm just going to tap with my other heel. You can switch if you're lunging on the floor, if you're standing. And take a breath and come forward into a forward fold again. Big deep exhale, forward fold. And take a breath. And gently come up. And we're going to come to boat pose. So if you're on the floor, or if you're standing, you can come down to the floor to boat pose. Put a little pillow under you so you can do boat pose. We've done boat pose quite a bit here on the couch. Move back, or on your chair, move back a little bit and pull your knees into the air. And this is boat pose, and this strengthens your psoas. So you can decide where you want to be. We're only going to do one boat pose today, and then we're going to do sexy jellyfish, because sexy jellyfish is really good for your psoas as well. So your legs are in the air, and you can either let go. Your shins can be parallel to the floor. And you'll feel this as you lift your shins. You'll feel your psoas engage. You can hold on to your knees and legs, whatever works. And then forward fold. So every time you forward fold, you're going to get a softening in your psoas muscles. Psoas muscles are also known as hip flexors. Take a few breaths. And remember that breath yesterday where we breathed into our ribs? Every time you rest, breathe into your ribs. And now we're going to come up and do sexy jellyfish. Whether this is half sexy jellyfish, remember half sexy jellyfish, so it's the same thing. We come back a little touch, just till the abs go a little bit, just a tiny little catch. And then sexy jellyfish, half sexy jellyfish is this, and full sexy jellyfish is this. So close your eyes. No one can see you, including me. You're only like as big as a fingernail to me. So just find your inner sexy jellyfish. If you're doing one side, switch sides. Do your other leg. You can do one arm or two arms. Take this random movement, strengthening up the abs and the psoas. One more breath, and then we'll take a forward fold. If you're seated, you can take a nice butterfly pose. And now take a deep inhale and a deep exhale here, forward fold. Okay, it's time to come off the chair. Stand up if you can. If you can't stand up or you don't want to, we can just do exactly what we just did with those lunges. But we're gonna do just a lunge here, holding on to the chair. So turn around, put your hands on the chair, and then find a lunge, whatever that looks like. It might not be a deep lunge, it might be quite a high lunge like this. But if you wanna try getting into your psoas, you can go a little deeper, hold on to the couch for support. So you're either getting a nice stretch up the back of your leg, or you're coming forward and stretching out your psoas here, your hip flexor. And you can do a little of both. You can push back into pyramid pose and then come forward into lunge. This is a really nice supported variation. If you're standing, it's still nice to even go over to the wall or to a chair and do this on a chair. And let's gently switch legs, step it forward, step the other leg back, and take a few breaths. Just a small movement. And if you're staying on the chair, it's exactly what we just did. Pull your knee into your chest and then switch. Finishing up. Come back to neutral, come back to your chair. And now we're gonna take goddess pose. Spread your legs wide. And we're gonna do exactly the same. Remember when we were seated and we were doing side to side with our ribs? We're gonna do exactly the same here, side to side with our ribs. So if you're standing, it looks like this, or this. If you're seated, hands on your knees, side to side, and you'll feel a tug, both sides. You feel a tug on your psoas, side to side. Deepen your breath and smoothly go side to side. If you want to hold to one side, that's awesome. And same other side. And let's come to triangle pose. So seated triangle pose. It's a little bit tricky. You have to extend your legs and then turn to the right. So extend your legs in a V, turn to the right. If you're standing, you're in triangle pose like this. If you're seated, it's basically the same pose. It's just that our bum is on the couch. So make a V, turn your body, look at your right leg, let's say, and then come down over your right leg. You can bring your left arm up. Take a few breaths. You can look gently up at your left arm, your left fingertips. And your legs can stay exactly the same as we come to the other side. I'm pushing into the floor with my heels as I come over. Sasha's doing this sitting down in a wide-legged seated pose, which is really nice too. So first thing you do is actually turn your body just to get that long psoas stretch, and then come over, lift your right arm, drop your left. You can still have your left arm on the chair or the seat. And if it feels good on your neck, you can let your gaze gently, gently, gently slide up to your right hand. Only if it feels good. Otherwise, your gaze is on the floor. Last big breath. Okay, come up to neutral. Gently help your legs together. Check in with your psoas muscles. I'm gonna stand up for this just so that you can see, but you can do this sitting down. I'm gonna take my ball and actually smack my psoas here. So this is the bird's nest, and I'm actually just gonna hit it and then go down my thigh a bit. And you can do this with a half fist as well. It's super effective. Soften your muscle as much as you can. If you're seated on the couch, you want to extend your leg and just smack it either with a ball, and you'll feel it's really bouncy there. It's tough tissue around your hips. It might even feel weird. Sometimes psoas work can make you feel kind of strange because it's so deep. And then take the other side. I don't know, I'm pounding with my dominant hand. Not as effective with my left arm. So way down deep in your thigh is your psoas, underneath your quads. Your quads are here. Your psoas is right way under there. You have to kind of hit hard to actually get it to move. Come back to center. Wiggle everything out. Move your shoulders around. When we work on our psoas, usually our attention just goes into our hip flexors. So everything kind of gets tight. So loosen everything up, including your shoulders. Smooth out your forehead. And we'll take one more opener. So we've done this a lot. This is seated pigeon. And what this is going to do is open your psoas this way. It's going to open it like that. So take your right foot to your left knee. And there's some variations here. Of course, you can bring your foot way back if you want to half lotus. And you can also straighten your left leg. If you're on the floor, this is what you're doing. Or you can go into pigeon as well. You can follow Lara and go into pigeon. If you're seated, we're just taking this forward fold. And now let's really be aware here of what's going on in our hip. So it's turned out. I have my right hand on my knee. My foot is quite alive. My right foot is quite alive. I can even have my fingers on my foot just to make sure that there's lots going on there in the foot. That's protecting your knee and also engaging your hip. So you can even wiggle around in this pose. See if you can get the maximum sensation. If you're in pigeon pose, your front leg is bent underneath you, your back leg is straight behind you, and your breath is long, and your attention is in your hips. Last breath. Really bring softness and attention to your psoas. I'm even pushing down a little bit on my knee here as I open up the muscle in the nest here. And then switch. And before you switch, take the leg you just worked. You can't really do this in pigeon pose. You can come back onto your back if you want in pigeon pose. Take the leg you just worked and take a few circles with it. So you're taking your femur bone, that big bone of your leg, and making some circles inside your hip joint. Then place your foot on the floor. Bend your other leg, flex your foot. Decide where you want to be. I've got my left hand on my left knee, so I'm pushing it away from me, or you can even bring your hand back on your thigh and push your psoas away like this. And then take your forward fold. I'm going to straighten my right knee a little bit. Take your forward fold and take all of your attention and all of your breath into your hip here. So there's a lot going on in your hips, as we've talked about a couple of times already. Very, very heavily muscled area. Lots of connective tissue. Big bones, big joints. Take one more breath. Takes a lot of work and attention and focus to gain flexibility in this area and to open this area, to warm up the fascia enough, the connective tissue enough. Release and come back to neutral. Shake it out again. And now come to seated in neutral for the last pose. If you're on the floor, extend your feet in front of you. So this pose looks similar, whether you're seated or whether you're on a chair or whether you're seated on the floor, except if you're on the floor, your legs are in front of you. So what I would like you to do is push your right knee towards me. Just do your best to move your right knee towards me. If you're on the floor, push your right foot towards me. Flex your foot and push it towards me. What'll happen is your pelvis will move like this. So my left hip is back and my right hip is forward. Really push, 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 push. More, harder. Move your right knee more. You'll feel it all around your hip joint. And then switch. Left knee comes towards me. You can even help your right knee back with your hand a little bit. And you can help your left knee forward with the other hand. Push, push, push. Make it move another millimeter towards me. And then release, shake it out. Okay, one more time. Push your right knee. And there's one side is going to feel easier. For me, it's the right side. This side feels a little easier. Push. You can pull that left knee or leg back towards you and push the right one away. Take a deep breath here, hold it, and then release. Switch. Left knee comes towards your device. Right knee comes back. I've got my palm over top of my right knee here. This is working all around the edges of the labrum. Last breath. Release back to center. Wiggle it out. Wiggle your shoulders again. Your shoulders and your mouth tend to get caught up in this work. Drop your jaw. Flip your palms on your legs so your palms are facing the ceiling. And then again, come back to what we're practicing at the beginning of practice with that long, melty exhale, as if warm water is being poured over your body. If you're on the floor, you can move slowly back towards Shavasana. There is an option here, if you like, if you're on the chair, you can turn around, lie on the floor, turn around. This is always an option. And put your legs on the couch. This is always an option every time we go into this relaxation pose for the last 5 minutes. I'll just stay here. So let everything soften. Remember that wave of warm water that washes over you and softens everything from your head down to your toes. And bring your attention now to your psoas muscles. So soften everything in your body as much as you can. Just find any holding. And then bring your attention to your psoas muscles. It's the middle of your body. You can even bring your fingers to your bird's nests there. And just notice if they're hard or soft. And see if you can soften the tissue under your fingers. It's really hard to soften your psoas. It takes a lot of work, especially if you're sitting up. It's really tricky. With each exhale, imagine there's like a
Nick, I can't hear you anymore.
I think she fell asleep.
Hey, Mom.
I thought it was just me.
I fell asleep too.
No, it's just me.
No, you fell asleep. Face it.
Best Shavasana ever.
Yeah. I know.
Okay. Gently inhale. Gently liven up again. Shavasanas after hip work, they can be quite relaxing. You can get quite soft. So begin to draw yourself back. Brighten your breath. Move your fingers and your wiggling them. Take a few neck rolls. Drop your jaw. Smile your face open. Widen your shoulders a tiny bit. If you're lying down, you can pull your knees into your chest and rock side to side. Thanks so much, everybody. Sorry my headphones died. Really good to see everyone today. And I hope that you get to go outside. It's so amazing here today, but it looks like it's going to be cloudy tomorrow. So time to get outside. I'm unmuting everybody.
Thank you, Nikki.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Bye, Grace.
Thank you.
Bye,
Nikki.
Have.
That was so fun, Nick. Thanks.
I'm so
Amazing.
glad.
Thanks so much.
Amazing.
Doing well on my couch to 5K.
Couch to 5K.
Max, you come and say
Yeah,
bye. Thank you to
exactly.
her. Come.
Bye, Marta.
Bye, Nikki. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
bye, Sarah.
Thank you. Bye,
You're
Nikki.
welcome. Bye, Megan. Bye, Fiona.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Bryce.
Bye. Thanks, Nikki.
You're welcome. See you
Bye.
tomorrow. I'll charge up my headphones.
See you.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye, Hev. Well, wait. Don't go, Hev. I want to say hi again.
The picture went away, but let me see if I can get you back.
Oh, that's interesting. Your picture's still there, but you're
Okay.
frozen.
You're smiling.
No,
How
I
do I?
Oh, yes, Heather's there.
Yeah, Heather's there, but she's frozen.
She
I
is
can't
frozen.
see. Yeah, I can't see anybody else. But this was so
Oh,
cool.
well,
Oh my
That's
gosh.
okay. I'm
My
so
hip
glad.
flexors are like butter.
Yeah, good. Good.
Butter.
I can't believe I did a SOAS class on a chair.
I know,
But anyway, that's good. we do need to release our SOASs.
There we are.
Yeah, there you are.
I'm so glad
Good.
you did a translation for us mortals, that it was the hip flexor. I was like, oh,
Yeah. Oh, I know that muscle.
I
Yes,
know those ones.
exactly. Well, it's
Those
also
are the ones
it's also known as the love muscle.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, it
Hmm.
is. Yeah.
I
It's
wonder
supposed
what
to
I would
be-
be revealing when I say that mine are extremely tight.
Extremely tight. Yeah. It's supposed to be the muscle of the soul.
Oh,
kind of-
oh.
Esoteric. Yeah, it's the esoteric version of that. Yeah. It's because we
Yeah.
hold a lot of tension there. That's what you'd be revealing.
Yeah.
That you're
I
very
think that's
tense.
true.
That you're worried about the situation of the world, basically.
That's right. Exactly. The uptight muscle. I
The
certainly have
uptight
that.
muscle. That's another word. Yeah, exactly. I'll put that in my next anatomy training. Karina's mounting her hammock here. Awesome.
Oh,
Woo. Beautiful.
Walk and swing your way. Oh,
I'm going to buy a lounge chair at Canadian Tire to pick it up this afternoon so that I can do the same thing as Karina's doing.
nice.
Yeah.
I think in the Granville Island,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a hammock store, but they're not open.
it's a hammock store, and they have
Yes.
those
They
ones.
might, yeah, they might actually ship it to me. That's true.
This is a cotton one, and you
Yes, it's
and,
really nice.
and,
Beautiful.
and it's a king size.
It's lovely. I
King
want that
size,
right
so
now.
you can go with your husband and your kids inside.
Nice.
Yeah. And I
All
think
right,
in Grand
enjoy.
Island you can find it. They are a little
Okay.
expensive, but it works.
Exactly. All right. Bye, you guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
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 Thanks again, Nick. That was really cool.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you, Sarah.